Today we've got Jake from Rugby in the Midlands. Just 22 years old, he's already a full-time trader. His turning point, he ran a 50k account up to 11k, then blew it the day before payout.
I passed the 50k evaluation. I managed to run it up to about $11,000 in profit, and I blew the account.
Most would quit, but Jake doubled down. Since then, he's hit about 13,000 in payouts with Alpha Capital Group in roughly 3 months.
I've just hit 13,000 with you guys since just the end of July.
Scaled to max allocation and is pushing towards 1 million in total prop accounts over the next year.
I've got a pretty clear goal plan set out, so I want to get $1 million funding within the next year. I'm already 400k there, so...
It's a story of discipline, patience, and refusing to tap out after the toughest lesson. If you're grinding through setbacks, this one's for you. Let's get into it. Thanks for joining today's traders interview. Yeah, really looking forward to getting into it and hearing about your experience with Alpha and your journey becoming a profitable prop trader. So yeah, really looking forward to today. Do you want to just start off just giving us a personal introduction? You know, your name, age, where you're from.
Yeah, so I'm Jake. I'm 22. I'm from Rugby in the Midlands. I've been trading now since about 17, 18.
What drew you to trading initially?
It was a bit of a random one. I was just going through Snapchat and social media, and I seen some guy, he was promoting someone else's Signal channel. So I thought at the time, seems like a nice, easy bit of money. And then I got into that. And then after a few months, I kind of realized this is a bit harder than it looks. And what kind of kept me in it was seeing other people's success. And I thought, well, if someone else can do it, I can do it. So.
Are you a full-time trader at the moment, or you do it as like a side income?
I've just switched to full-time trading, yeah.
Oh, nice. That's amazing. How many years did it take you to make that switch? How long have you?
For the past year and a half, I'd say I've been not consistently profitable, but I've been doing well, but not been able to, fully knock it on the head and smash out of the park. Well, about a year ago now, in like May 2024, I passed the 50k evaluation. I managed to run it up to about $11,000 in profit, and I blew the account one day before payout date. That was one of the biggest moments in my trading career, because I knew I could do it, but I also thought, of giving up, because I thought, well, if I get onto a bigger account and I blow that, how am I actually going to deal with it? But I stuck to it, and now I'm max allocation with you guys. So.
Oh, amazing. So what did the journey look like? Were you self-taught, or were you trading with friends?
Yeah, so I actually started with cryptocurrency. And so I was trading like perpetual futures with Bitcoin and stuff like that. And I did have a mentor, but he never branched into like CFDs or Forex or anything like that. And once I'd lost all my money in crypto, I decided maybe, it's too volatile, it's not worth it for me. So I moved on to like trading gold, Forex, NASDAQ. For about 2 or 3 years, I was, just trying out that. I bought a lot of prop firms and I blew a lot of them. I just kept going until it finally clicked for me.
What was your background before trading? Were you at uni, or have you just recently quit a job?
Yeah, I did sixth form first, and then I moved on to college around COVID time. So it was a bit of a weird time. We didn't have any teachers or anything like that. And I had all this time to myself. So I thought, I might as well just stick my head down, learn a skill that can take me far in life. Yeah, I just learned it as I went through college, working.
What did your family and friends, what was their reaction when you switched to trading full time?
I mean, I only switched full time once I started seeing a nice bit of money and, more than I could earn at a job. And my parents were incredibly proud of me. They'd seen me struggling, failing at it for God knows how long. And then seeing me finally succeed in it was, it felt really good for me and for them, I guess.
Throughout that journey, was there ever a point where you thought about giving up and going back to full-time work, and what kept you going?
Some days I'd buy an account and I would have blown it within like an hour. When it hits afterwards, you're kind of there like, oh my God, like, what am I doing? Like, it's, you can't carry on like this. And many times I'd sat there and thought, I'm just going to give up. But I'd then go on like Instagram or something. I'd see a successful trader, driving a nice car and whatnot. And that kind of just filled me with the motivation to just carry on.
Yeah. And I think, obviously I'm a trader myself. I think you have to go through those losses and setbacks to really make you into a profitable trader.
Yeah. If you don't lose, then winning, it doesn't feel as good. So.
And was there a specific point in time that that was a turning point for you? Or was there a particular trade or payout where you thought, right?
Yeah, I think it was that time I got to 10K on the 50K funded, but I didn't make the payout because I was in such two minds. I thought like, God, I'm a really bad trader. I can't believe I've just blown an account one day before payout. All I had to do was sit there and do nothing. But then I also sat there and I thought like, imagine you did this on a 200K account and you could have made, 40K on that account sort of thing. And that could absolutely change your life. So there's no point giving up because I was so like deep into it.
How long was it until you finally got that first payout?
It was about a year after that, actually. So at first I thought, I can get another payout within a couple months. And then slowly a few months would go by and I hadn't had a payout. And I was kind of thinking like, am I just going backwards rather than forwards? But, I stuck to it. And once I started seeing like, I'd start with a 50K account. I passed that, managed to get payout from that. And then I used the profits to buy a 200K account. And I managed to pass that within 3 days. So I passed phase one within the first day, did my minimum trading days, got the second phase and passed that within my first trade as well. Going from, like 2 months before I wasn't funded, I was broke, I had nothing really, to being like 250K funded that quickly. And I was like, wow, like I've really progressed here. And I've managed to scale it up into about like 13K in payouts with you guys in about 3 months. And now I'm max funded. So it just proves to anyone out there, it's not about how long you've been trying for, it will just click one day. You just need to keep at it.
And just switching it up to your strategy, I mean, what markets do you mainly trade at the moment?
At the moment, I just do gold and NASDAQ and that's it. Usually I'm mostly trading gold. Like obviously it depends on the market conditions of both. So, if gold's looking choppy, I'll switch to NASDAQ, vice versa.
And then are you mainly a technical trader or do you incorporate fundamentals as well?
Yeah, I incorporate a little bit of fundamentals, but mainly I will just drop into a higher time frame, look for my key levels, look at the daily and the 4-hour chart and basically get my bias from that. And then I just drop into the smaller time frames, look for a break of structure or a sentiment change in the market, and I'll try find my entries on the 5 to 15 minute. I found that keeping it simple makes it a lot easier. So I used to use like loads of indicators, try loads of different strategies, and it all just kind of fogged everything up. I'd feel like I was overcomplicating things. And then when I just switched to pure price action and market structure, I was able to actually just kind of see things a lot more clear for what they were.
And what does a day in a life look like for you at the moment? And, how does trading fit around that?
Well, at the moment, obviously, 'cause I'm doing trading full time, I've got a lot of time on my hands. So usually, to be honest, I'll wake up, get up quite late, to be honest, around 10 a.m., make some food, chill out for a bit, and then I'll hop on the charts, see what I can find. If I see something, I'll take it. If I don't, I'll just leave it for the day and, clean the house, go out with my friends, do whatever. And that's why I love trading, because it gives you like the most freedom you could ever dream of.
Yeah, no, definitely, completely agree. Do you mind just giving us maybe just a 5-10 minute overview of how you approach the markets? Just jump into the charts quickly.
Yeah, do you want me to share my screen?
Yeah, if you share your screen. If you just give us a quick breakdown of how you approach the markets.
So like I said, I'll drop into the higher time frame, either the daily or the 4-hour. This is a trade I took on my 100K funded. What I was seeing here basically is we've had this spike early in London session. As I've hopped on the charts at around 10, 11 a.m, I've seen we've been chopping, but we're unable to break these highs and we're not showing a lot of bullishness here. Normally what I'll do is between 11 a.m. to 2:30 p.m, which is when New York session opens, basically just try gauge whether we're bearish or bullish. See if we're chopping within a range or we're breaking highs or we're breaking lows, essentially. And so what I'm looking at here is this 4-hour candle. At the time of entry, so I basically paired it with the New York session opening. We were chopping around this wick here. If I drop it into the 15 minute, it'll be clearer. This is like all morning price action. We're just going up and down chopping. And what I've plotted out here, I'll put another line there. That's essentially the range I'm looking at. So I've seen here, we've broken the low. We have come back up. We've started chopping around this area. To me, I could see it going down. I don't know if other people could, but what I was looking at here, entry on the bottom of this range, stop loss just above here. And as you can see, it ripped towards take profit. And I was out at the bottom of this candle just here. Some people would call this a fair value gap. A lot of this jargon, it's all the same stuff, just with different names, I guess.
Yeah.
Like I said, I try to keep it quite simple. I know some people would say, oh, well, it doesn't look like there's much confirmation there or whatever, but I just trade ranges essentially. So
Do you ever drop below the 15-minute time frame?
sometimes I will drop into the 5-minute. The lower I go, the less clarity I have within my trades. So if you go to the 1 minute, price is a lot more like unpredictable. The smaller time frames for me, they don't mean much.
And then, so this trade you took on your 100k funded account, what did you risk? Were you risking 1%, 2%?
So usually I will risk maximum 1%, usually 0.5% between there. So this would have been around a 2 risk to reward ratio. But as you see, the entry was really good. So we kept just going down until about 3,718.
And do you ever adjust your TP? So do you like move your stop to break even and try and let it run a bit more?
Yeah,
or take
absolutely.
partial?
Yeah, I don't really have a specific like set of rules for moving my stop loss, but I kind of base it on my account value. So say I've had a few losses and I've started the week with a loss and I'm 2% in drawdown. If I start to go into profit, I'll be more likely to move my stop loss if I'm in drawdown, because I just want to secure profits. But if I'm in profit, I'll be a bit looser with it and see what I can get out of it, I guess.
How do you incorporate, news events into your strategy? Because obviously with prop firms, there's rules around that. How do you factor that
I
in?
try not to trade news. But sometimes it is hard because you can have a good entry from a much earlier point in the day. So say you've got like CPI at 130. If I'm already running a decent bit of profit, that's kind of when it gets a bit harder, because you don't want to risk all of your profits that you've just made and also violate a rule at the same time, which could, not get you your payout. So I do try to stay away from news, but you kind of got to read what the market's doing, I guess.
And how's this strategy evolved over time? Is this what you originally started with?
Sort of. So I kind of originally started with my first mentor that I had. It was all like trend lines paired with like RSI divergences. And I didn't really find much success with that, to be honest. I've kind of strategy hopped quite a few times. So I've gone to like ICT. I found that was a little bit too technical. It was just a bit hard for me. But yeah, like when I found someone called Tom's Trades on Instagram. He's a very successful trader and I bought his course. So he's now my mentor. And the way he trades, he just keeps everything really simple. So he just goes off market structure, highs and lows and higher highs, etc. And when I kind of started looking at the market like that in just a more of a cyclical structure, so just, we're going up and then we go down and then we go up again and then we go down, etc. And if the market isn't playing like that and it doesn't fit into your strategy, don't trade it. It's as simple as that, really.
I'm the same as you. I think the simpler, the better, and it just makes your life much more easier.
It really helps in psychology.
Yeah. Appreciate you running us through your strategy, Jake. Yeah, nice. What have your total payouts been with Alpha so far?
I've just hit yesterday about 13,000 with you guys since just the end of July.
How do you strategize taking your payouts? As soon as you're in profit, do you take a payout or do you like to build the account up?
Well, it's at first, so as soon as I saw I was going for around, in the UK, the average salary, as you say, it's around like 2 to 2.5K a month. That's kind of what I was aiming for, because I thought, if I can make a living, like a salary living off this, I'm able to scale this up as I go along in the future. So it's a really good baseline to have, is just that sort of salary level that I take. As I've scaled up to get max allocation, I'm now going to be going for like 4,000 to 8,000 a month. So 1 to 2% a month, essentially.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned you're max funded with Alpha. Do you use the same strategy across all accounts, or do you switch it up and have, like, I don't know, one risk management for one account versus another?
Yeah. I'm kind of playing with that at the moment, to be honest. So I find it's a bit weird, actually. When I first got the 200k account, the psychology hit was a lot different to the 50k account. So I immediately started it in drawdown, and I went down like about 10k in drawdown within the first like week and a half. That really hit me hard. I was like, wow, like, maybe I'm not actually built as well as I thought for this. And it got to about 2 days before the payout day, and I managed to hit a trade to bring me back to small profits so I could get the payout. I then kind of realized, because at the same time I was taking about a 3k payout on my 50k account during the same week. And so that's where like the different risk management comes into play. And I hadn't quite got it right then, because I was losing on the bigger account and winning on the smaller account, where it should be vice versa, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking to merge my account soon, to be honest. So I think it'll make it a bit easier, because I feel like when you try to split between accounts and take different trades, it's harder on your psychology, because you think maybe this trade isn't going to be the right one. And if I'm taking the right trade on a smaller account and the wrong one on a bigger account, that's when it has the effect on the psychology, because I could be making so much more than I am, but I'm not. So I think keeping it all pretty consistent and taking the same sort of trades is better than trying to split it all up.
On a typical week, what's the average amount of trades you place?
It depends how well I follow my plan, to be honest, but usually I'll look for 1 to 2 a day maximum. Some days I won't take any. 10 trades a week maximum, absolutely max.
And then, just switching it over to psychology a little bit. You mentioned quite a large drawdown on the 200k account. Were you thinking about revenge trading, or did you just lower your risk and build it back up? How did that affect you?
It's like, so I started I got the trade. I got the account on a Friday, took my first trade, took just below a 1% loss. At first I was like, it's a loss. You got to take it. It is what it is. We go into the next week, and I was kind of not in the right mind state. So I was thinking, I've passed this evaluation in 3 days. I've made, 18k in the past 2 days. Why can't I do it on a funded account? And I was just trying to look for these big trades, and they just weren't there. And so I was looking for the wrong trades, essentially. And then at the end of the week, I kind of sat down and said, yeah, that was bad trading. Do not do that again. I was patient enough to wait for a good setup, and I managed to make, I think it was 9k. That brought me down from drawdown into a little bit of profit. And
do you have a routine or some kind of system in place to do something after you take a loss to stop you revenge trading, for example?
Yeah, so what I used to do quite a lot, I'd just completely delete the app, delete MetaTrader 5, just so I couldn't go back on it, because it's just, I used to find myself, I'd revenge trade terribly, and that's why I'd lose all my accounts. And once you get over that hurdle and you kind of see trading as a marathon rather than a race, you really start to realize that it's okay not to trade. You don't have to take a trade every day, because one trade next week could be huge, and it could be bigger than any smaller trade that you take throughout the week that isn't quite perfect. Waiting for the quality setups is definitely what helped me get to where I am.
In your experience, do you think discipline is more important than strategy, or do you find the two are more tied together?
I think if you're a beginner getting into trading, the first thing you need to learn is, how the markets work and your strategy, essentially. What works for you, find where you can actually spot good trades. And I test out Asia trading a little bit, and taking trades before I go to bed, and then, waking up and seeing what they're at in the morning. And depends on obviously the market at the time, but I've found quite good success with that, a little swing trade overnight. But I've also found a lot of times that I've been absolutely dominated, and that I'll basically start the day off in a loss because of that trade. And that was actually kind of hurting me quite a bit to my trading, because I was putting myself at a disadvantage before I'd even started the day. And you just need to find out, where you actually find your good trades, essentially. And for me, that's like around New York session.
And how has trading impacted personal life? Has it made you a better person, or are you more stressed?
Yeah, absolutely. I think trading it's way more than making money in it a job. It's like a mirror into yourself. So it exposes your darkest qualities. I always used to think I was a very in control person. I wasn't greedy. And then I started trading, and I found out I stress so much when I'm full porting like red folder, and I'm trying to get greedy and I'm over trading, and it's made me sit down with myself a lot and think, okay, you really need to work on yourself because you can't go on like that.
What's the single biggest mistake new traders should avoid, in your opinion?
Starting with real money, because that's exactly what I did. I started just crypto trading with real money. I decided to put all my money into crypto and start trading with it, and I lost it all. Yeah, it's if I just sat there and decided to learn how markets work and just getting a feel for everything first. I think that's what a beginner needs to do, because you think you know everything when you've won one trade. Like, I remember winning my first trade, and I thought, oh, this is easy, I can do this every day. You lose and you lose and you lose, and then it starts to fog your brain up, and you just kind of, I don't know, I ended up in this bad cycle of just constantly losing and losing and losing, and I wasn't doing anything to change it. I was still stuck in my old ways. And so I think if you get on a demo account, practice, and then once you've built up confidence, that's when you should move on to a prop firm and try scale your money up. That's what they're there for. You can buy a big account, like 50k account, for about $200 with a 30% off. You're able to turn that $200 into maybe a few thousand, and then it's all about scaling up slowly. It's not about just hitting the big home run.
What's the best investment you've made in yourself as a trader?
If I never found out about prop firms, I'd probably be on a live account right now trying to flip a few $100s, and I think doing that is way harder than getting on a prop firm, making a few percent on a bigger account, and scaling your money up. Trading smart rather than hard.
What are your goals for the rest of this year and heading into next year?
I've got a pretty clear goal plan set out. So I want to get $1 million funding over, a few prop firms within the next year. I'm already 400k there, so 40% of the way within a few months. So that's pretty good. I've also got a few more evaluations lined up that I'm just past phase 1 on as well. So I'm slowly just chipping away, trying to get more funding. Because obviously, the more funding you have, if you're only making 1 to 2% a month on $1 million, that's 10 to 20k a month, and that's way more than your average salary. So
yeah, and if you could go back in time, would you do anything differently than when you first started?
The journey of actually becoming profitable, it's you appreciate it so much once you do become profitable, because how tough it's been. That you've had those sleepless nights where all you can think about is, escaping the matrix and getting rich, I guess. And once you kind of finally start to get a glimpse of that, you're like, oh, wow, I can actually do this. Like, it's not just a dream anymore.
Yeah, I think that's it from me, Jake. Yeah, like I said, I really appreciate your time, and being max funded with Alpha at your age and the amount of payouts you've had. Yeah, imagine what you'll be doing in a year's time.
Hopefully be at Alpha Prime.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah. But I appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.